Welcome to the DNA Advantage podcast, where you can learn facts about your DNA that can help you live a healthier, longer life, doing all the activities you dream of doing. If you want to gain more control over your health and the factors that influence it, you're in the right place. Welcome. I just wanted to go over a few questions that have come in lately. I've been getting some questions on direct message, and one of the big questions, what is the difference between DNA testing and lab testing? This is a really good question because lab testing is promoted so much through doctors and practitioners, and it is extremely helpful. Lab testing helps us understand what the current status is of our bodies. So whether it's blood testing or urine testing, even saliva testing, we're looking at what is the current status. When it comes to DNA, though, we're looking at a single test. If you get a full range of your DNA tested, it's really only needed to be done once. And that's because it's telling us what the capability is of our bodies. Our DNA doesn't change. The expression of our DNA can change based on our epigenetics, which is the environment, our lifestyle, and our diet, and how those factors influence the expression of our DNA. Turning on and off genes can occur through methylation and through influence of epigenetic factors. When someone has acute symptoms, they've just started having some symptoms and they're trying to figure out why, lab testing can be helpful because it is giving you an idea of what the current status is, and especially if you have a baseline of, let's say, 6 months or a year ago, what was the status of my B12 or my folate, even inflammation markers you could look at and get a sense of where they are now comparatively. But if you don't have a past reflection before the symptoms occurred, you really don't have a baseline. And that's why doing an annual check, and if you have a lot of symptoms or you have a lot of changes going on, it can be helpful to make it even more frequent, so every 6 months. And if you have chronic symptoms and you want to keep track of the influences and what's going on, every quarter could be helpful to do lab testing. It does get expensive. It depends on where you go, and some lab testing is, believe it or not, cheaper to do it just directly instead of going through insurance. But it depends on your deductible, of course. Everyone's different. But doing the DNA testing when you have symptoms is looking at what's causing it. So not just what is my status, are the symptoms from low B12, or are we dealing with some kind of toxicity? And you have to get several different blood or urine or saliva tests to get that information. But with DNA testing, it's going to be looking at what are the contributors. When you have symptoms, you're able to look at your DNA, and it does take some basic knowledge about what could be contributors, and then looking at the DNA that are involved in the absorption, let's say, of B12 or the conversion of B12, and understanding what can inhibit B12 absorption, what can block it, what can get in the way, any kind of toxicities that can interfere. And then certainly if we don't know what the problem is, we can dig even deeper and understand more of the complexity of the body. And if it's, let's say, an energy issue, and we have ruled out B12 and we've looked at other toxicities and things, I look at family history, personal health history to see when this all started. And I'm sure if you've listened to anything that I've done before, you hear that repetitively because it's super important that we understand our own bodies. We understand what the contributors are, what changed, what are we doing differently, or what have we not changed, and what is maybe accumulating in our system. DNA testing is going to give us a really good idea of what our body's capabilities are, and then the blood testing is looking at the status. They work really well together. They don't have to be done simultaneously, but they can be done. Let's say you do DNA testing, you start to uncover some of the potential issues that your body could have because there are inefficiencies, and then you can do lab testing to see how far down that track am I because of influences, because I haven't been eating the right foods, or because I haven't been addressing and supporting that particular weakness. How far down that road am I that I need to recover? And then again, that's giving you a baseline to then work from and understand if you're improving 6 months or a year from now when you do some additional status checking with your labs. Another question is, how can DNA help you understand what your diet should be? Looking at DNA, one of the big areas that I do in my program is I do look at nutrition. And that's because it is a constant source of resources that our bodies need. And being able to see how efficiently we convert and absorb and retain our nutrients is really helpful, because we can then compensate. We can eat more of that food. We can take supplements if we need to. We can eat cofactors or combined foods in a way that is supporting and is more efficient for our bodies to be absorbing and utilizing the nutrients. What we do is look at your DNA to understand all of the genes working together and identify what your best foods and food combinations would be. Even looking at proteins and carbs and fats and understanding how efficiently your body processes those so you can be selective in what you are eating. There are certain people, many people, who we identify that fruits and vegetables are either they are an adequate source of certain nutrients or they aren't. And so in that case, if they are eating vegetarian or vegan, we need to compensate for some of those nutrients that aren't efficiently absorbed through plant sources. And they don't want to eat animal source, so that's important to compensate for. And on the flip side, we want to make sure if someone is eating meat and they aren't breaking them down efficiently, that we take enzymes and that we give you the proper support to break things down, or you can move towards a plant-based diet and have the meat sources either minimized or optimized when you are eating them with the enzymes and giving yourself every benefit. When we have a really good understanding of what our bodies need to process things efficiently and operate efficiently, everything in our bodies are reliant on a specific group of nutrients. So it's like a collection of nutrients that come from different sources. And we want to make sure that we are giving our bodies that adequate support, or those organs and systems can start to suffer. And then we have symptoms, because that's how the body is telling us that something isn't working properly and we need to change something. Sadly, it's not very clear what those things are, and that's where DNA testing can be super helpful, because we're able to understand better why we need to have the complement of nutrients that we need, and then lab testing can help us understand how far away we are from the goal, and we can work towards that and improve. Understanding how our bodies function and what nutrition is most supportive is tremendously helpful. It can make all the difference. Whenever we think about disease, we think, unfortunately, the way that it is covered in the media and the way that we have been taught is to think of disease as kind of attacking us. It really isn't that way. If our immune system is functioning well and our organs are functioning and operating properly, we're very resistant to disease and we don't develop those weaknesses. So we have to look at things in a different way. Being able to have more of a sense of control and understand what our bodies need specifically is very, very empowering. Another question we have is, how can your DNA tell you how to detoxify better? There are a couple ways that we look at our DNA related to toxicity. We know that right now toxins are everywhere and in very high numbers and concentrations in some places. Being able to understand how efficiently our bodies detoxify is very helpful because it gives us a sense of what we need to do again to compensate and what we need to do to support the system and prevent that taxation on our system by avoiding certain substances and exposures. And then on the other side is, how can we support our bodies in eliminating those toxins? And it can be a general assessment or it can be very specific. So I'll give you a few examples. One is, if we find that we have an energy issue and we do a hair mineral analysis and we find that we have an overage of a particular heavy metal like lead or aluminum, and let's say the first step I would look at is, where is the source? Where are we being exposed on a regular basis? Typically, an analysis like that is looking at about a 3-month span of exposure. And if it's high, then it's probably not a single exposure. It's probably a frequent exposure or an incremental exposure over that time. So we want to identify what our exposures are and how we can minimize or eliminate those exposures to that particular heavy metal. And then we want to look at how our bodies are able to eliminate that. There are a lot of detoxification genes, but some are very specific to certain heavy metals and certain toxins. So looking at the CYP genes, looking at our pathways, we have glucuronidation, we have different levels of nutrients, even how well everything is functioning. If we don't have enough antioxidants and if we don't have enough support in our system to eliminate and neutralize the toxins, then we could be in trouble. So we really need to look at the whole process and look at how the detoxification process works. We have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of detoxification. You want to make sure that phase 1 isn't really a lot more efficient than phase 2 and phase 3 because it can get backed up and we can recirculate our toxins. So all of that to say that knowing your bodies, again, is super helpful, because even if you run out and get a detox kit, if you're getting all of that toxicity out of your cells, first you need to make sure that you are able to break those down efficiently in the phase 2 segment, and then phase 3 is the elimination and the removal of those toxins. There is a process, and it is step 1, step 2, step 3. We need to make sure that we are managing everything properly. Another question is, what DNA test is best? And this is a big question. When it comes to a DNA test, so many of them, they're all valuable. They really are valuable. It's just a matter of what you want to learn from it. So Ancestry, you're going to get your ancestry data. Look at the websites if you're looking at just getting one and just looking at it yourself, and you're just interested in learning a little bit. You just want a tip of the iceberg type information, and I want to learn interesting facts about my heritage. Great. Let's look at Ancestry, MyHeritage, 23andMe, things like that. And you can certainly post or have your information accessible online so that people can access it and connect with you, like distant cousins. If you're looking for a family member, you're able to do that online, and that is amazing. I see so many great stories about that, people connecting with their families. My area of focus is in DNA health, so I want to go deeper and wider in terms of the data. So I want to look at more genes, and I want to look at a wide range, and I want to be able to go deeper. So I want to do a test that is, I won't say all encompassing, because we're still looking at about $1,000 for a test that is a full complement of your genes. The ones that we do with the DNA Advantage are comprehensive, but it's not the full $1,000 deal. It is a lot of the genes that are well researched, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of genes. In the program that I have now, we look at a number of genes in each category, which always changes. So I'm looking at what is the latest research in nutrition. And when we look at vitamin A, vitamin Bs, vitamin D, vitamin C, all of the different nutrients that our bodies really need and use on a daily basis for many, many different functions, I want to know which genes are most researched and we know are involved in the conversion, absorption, and utilization of those nutrients. It can be frustrating if you've done a test that is really narrow in its scope and we don't have access to those genes that can tell you more information. So that's why I like to do a comprehensive test. And then you can download that raw data, and you have that raw data for the future. Even if you just want to do surface information now, and then you want to dive deeper later. Let's say that you start to have symptoms and you want to be able to access. You can always do another DNA test. That's not a big deal, and it's typically not terribly expensive. But another frustrating thing that I've found is I've had clients contact me and say that they did a $600 test, and I look at the genes that they provide, and I'm hoping that for that kind of money, it will give us adequate information, and they don't. I mean, a lot of them don't. I'm not speaking for all of them, but I know of one in particular that's about $600 that is absolutely not worth that, because they are testing such a narrow number. And it is something that can be helpful because it's giving you some information, but it is so limited and there's not a lot of support given. In fact, it's basically a report that's provided. So be aware of what you're getting for your money. And I'm more than happy if somebody reaches out to me. I have done this many times where people reach out to me and they ask about a test. I ask them what they're trying to get from it. If it seems like it's a good fit, that's great. And especially if you say, I really like this information I want to get right now, and I don't want to go any deeper, and I'm more than willing to pay for another test later on if I need it, great. I've researched so many DNA tests, and I can give you suggestions. Let's see, the next question, and I think this will be the last one for today, is DNA data helpful to doctors? Yes, absolutely. DNA data is very helpful. It can help us understand our own bodies and put us in that driver's seat again, where we can say to whether it's doctors, practitioners, massage therapists, whoever we're working with, we can explain more about what our needs are and what we know about our bodies. And we're not just going in and we're at their mercy and just saying, I don't know what's going on. We have more of an understanding of our methylation process, our absorption of nutrients. We're taking these supplements, and not just randomly. We're taking these supplements because we know this about our bodies, and these are the things that have improved. These are the symptoms that I have, and this is when they started. This is what has changed. It's amazing how strong our case can be when we build it around facts. Just like any kind of legal matter, you need to build your case around the facts. And when you understand your body and you have done the research on the history of your own body and then your family's history, you are able to identify the likely candidates that are the problem when it comes to health. It's important to have that information for doctors and to share it. Sometimes they won't use it, and so be prepared for that. It's a matter of, they say, well, I don't really use DNA as information. I look at the lab testing, and that's fine. That is completely fine. You still have that information to use, and that's most important. You can use it, and you can get help from myself or other practitioners who can guide you in understanding how to apply the information that you have about your DNA to your current circumstances. So let's just say that you have symptoms and a medication is recommended for those symptoms. You can look at your DNA and better understand if your body will use that medication appropriately. How well does your body process that medication? And is it likely to help you? Not all medications have been researched to that extent, but we know in most cases which CYP gene is eliminating that medication. And if you have efficiency in that pathway, then we know that you'll be able to utilize it and eliminate it. But sometimes if it's overly efficient, let's say that the CYP gene is highly efficient, you're going to need more of that medication. If it's not efficient, you may need less of it, or you may need a different medication because it doesn't process well in your body and it won't help, and it will only cause more side effects. So it's super helpful to have that, even if it's in your own back pocket and the doctor doesn't use it. The follow-up question that I have, is DNA helpful to doctors, is people have asked, why don't the doctors require it, or why don't they order those tests themselves? This is speculation. Everybody's different, but it is such a new science. In the world of science, DNA is very new. And doctors were not taught how to leverage DNA data in medical school. They're still not taught how to leverage it because it is an entirely different focus. And it's also so comprehensive, it takes years to really deeply understand it. How could doctors spend that much time basically learning a whole new layer of medical knowledge when they're busy practicing? I feel for the doctors. I think a lot of frustration exists because they want to be knowledgeable about it, but it just takes so much time. So I think there's an amazing opportunity to be working together. And even if it's you yourself working with your doctor and saying, this is what I've learned, and you are working with a practitioner who understands DNA, and then you're working with your doctor, or you're just learning on your own and doing some research on your own about DNA, and you have your own DNA data. It's so valuable because, again, it's giving you a deeper understanding of your own body that you will have for the rest of your life. These are facts about your body that you will have, and insights that you can use in so many different areas. It would never be considered a waste of time because you are giving yourself every advantage. That's what I want for people, is to understand their own bodies. If you can understand your body and how to leverage your strengths and support your weaknesses, you will have less risk of disease. You will have a greater quality of life and a greater sense of control over your health, which is amazing. That's the goal. And that's why I do these Q&As and cover a lot of topics, just to give you a sense of what all of this is about and hopefully get you interested enough to start diving into your own DNA so you can benefit. Let me know if you have questions, if you want to post them below, and I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining me to learn about DNA health. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. If you'd like to join my free community where we delve into more details about DNA, just click Community below. Thank you so much. I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Thank you so much. 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 So much. Thank you 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 so much. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. So much. So much. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. So much. So much. Thank you so much. And I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you so much. So much. So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you so much. And I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you 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 so much. Message me, and I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much. Thank you 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 so much. and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. It's helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great week. Thank you so much. Below this video, or if you want to contact me directly, you can direct message me. And I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great week. Thank you so much.